So hi everybody and welcome back. This is Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 148 and in this video we continue with actor components. I hope you watched this video with our actor components where they showed how to use this and how nice it is. And in this video I want to make an example as well, and I will concentrate more on one simple example, and then I show you there how to use as well interfaces or dispatchers as well when you are using components, because these components need to still you need communication with your owner, and what all this mean in this example what I'm going to do. Let me show you what I want to set up fast. It's a standard example which you will find all time on the web, and I make the same. So I go here, I have here a pain damage, and you can see on the left side we are getting damage and then my health gets down. Important to note here is normally this one here should be connected to your life bar, and your life bar goes down, not these numbers here, just as a side note. But this is just a demonstration how this component system works, so that's why I skip all this other coding things and just make a demonstration. Okay, we get started. First of all, we open up our content drawer, we get to our game folder, and here perhaps you already created a component folder. If not, you can create here a components folder. I created here one, and in this components folder I created another components because there are different kind of components, and this one I called actor components. I open up this one up. Here I already made here this example component which I demonstrated here right now, and we are recreating this actor component which I have here already, and from scratch, which means we are making a new component. So I'm here in this component folder, right click, then I go here to the blueprint class because it's here what we need, and you can see we have here a scene component and actor component. We are concentrating on actor component, but of course when you go here down to the all classes and write components, then you can see here probably here are more different kind of components as well. Let's see what we find now. We find actually on the actor components here, interesting. And anyway, there are some other inherited components and different kind of things for different functionality, but we are concentrating in this here just for actor components, which are this one. Let's click on it, and then I call it AC for actor component underscore, and let's call it health. All right, here it's health component. Normally, yeah, you can write it health component or whatever you like. So we open this component up, and you can see a component looks similar like a blueprint. The other difference is actually we have here no viewport. Here on top we could switch all time with a viewport and a construction script and something like that. In this case we don't have something like that, at least not by default. Perhaps we can activate it anywhere. So, which means in this actor component we can still create graphs, which means events, and then functions, macros, variables, and all kinds of stuff like that into here on the bottom, an event dispatcher. All right, so we have this kind of functionality, but before we go on with this actor component, I want to show you that this actor component here, let's go back to our screen here, and let's define first where to what component or let's say to what actor I want attach this actor component which I want which I have created here. And this actor component will simulate health, which means I have health. What can has health in my screen? For example, I could give health to this I don't know, to the static meshes here, so then I can hit them till they break down after a certain amount of hits, something like that. But to make it simple and straightforward here, I add this health component to my character, because most time a character has a health, you know, that we get. So I open up this health this character here, and here I have here just demonstration codes, which is not very important, and here I will make here something like no, I will add here my component. And you can see here I have already added this health component. It was this demonstration thing here. Let's kick this one out because we can add it if we need again. And in this case, I just delete it. It's out and compile save. And now I could add this health component here to this class, this actor. And I'm not going to do this right now because I want to show you something. And the thing what I want to show you is that the functionality which we can implement here in this actor component, we can act also the normal cases that you would just do here in this character itself. So what we do is, for example, a character, we would normally implement the health perhaps in the character, at least. It's also not true. Normally you would implement the health system in the game mode, because in single player you can implement it in character, but in multiplayer you would call the game mode, because in multiplayer the game mode is on the server and you won't try to avoid cheating. So you would also not implement it here really in the character, this health system. But to make it easy, let's assume we are implementing our health system in character, because our character should have health, right? And what we would normally do is here, let's say we would create here a custom event. For example, there are a million different kinds of solution, but let's make one of them. Let's create a custom event. And this custom event is just to call it. And let's call this custom event character health changed, something like that. So the character health changed, and all time when the character health changed, I will call this event here so that I can apply this character health change. And the next thing what we would do normally is then, okay, we need character health, which means a variable which holds our health, which is, for example, a float. Let's make this also here. We go here to the variables. Let's make a plus here, and let's write here current health. And current health already exists. Okay, then I use this current health there. All right, you create then this variable current health here. I have already created one. And then you change here this one to float, or what you like. In my case, I created the type float. And then after you did this, then you compile. And then you select again your created health here. And then you go here to the right side and set, for example, a default value. I set here a default value of 100 because I make a health system just for demonstration with one variable. Normally you would set there something up, max health, and you would clamp and do the health and do a lot of coding here normally, but I make a very simple demonstration, and that's why I use just one variable. And what I do now is I just bring out this variable, get health, so I get it. And then what I do is I set this health, which means I can set this health. And the next thing what I do is, to make it very simple, I just subtract from this current health all time an amount. Let's say, first of all, subtract, because I want subtract something, and I want to subtract let's say all time 10 health, because I start with current health. I set it to 100 by default, and I can subtract it 100. And now you could do a lot of coding here, which I skip. For example, to set to clamp it so that it can't go down. But all this kind of stuff I skip because I want just demonstrate you this component system. So compile, save. That's almost finished. There is one more thing. We make it visual, and the easiest way to make visual is just this print string. Let's do this as well. Print string. Okay, we print it out, and I print actually this health here out. So I connect this one here, and you can see it is very simple, straightforward, and easy. But what have I done here? This is not the component system. This one is not. This is just a character, and this is just a normal event call. And by the way, this event, of course, you can make this as well as in function. It's similar. So when you go here to function, let's go here, and you could program this one here as well and then call later the function. So this event and function are almost similar, but this event is a little bit more, I say a little bit more powerful because you can use here timers and other things. This function are a little bit limited in some places, and so that's why I prefer most time this event, but not all time. Depends on the situation. So, okay, we know this, but this is not the problem here. The problem here is this one here is not the component. I mean, I want to demonstrate you the component system here, right? And now I set up here a very little health system, which is for demonstration purposes. That's nice. And what has this to do with this actor component? In a moment more. Here is one more thing about this. Let's comment this health fast. Comment health system, health demonstration. So of course we comment this out, but here is one more important thing to mention. And what is that? This is just the health system which reacts after it is called. So this health system must be called from anywhere, and that's very important, this call place. Why is this so important? Because there are different places where it can be called. For example, my health can change when I get damaged. My health can get changed to, I don't know, different reason, different kind of damage. For example, I get poisoned, I get damage, or I get shot, I get damage and my health changes, or I get health perhaps. Sometimes I can get health if I don't know, get a health potion or something like that. So important is here to mention, we need anyone to call this, or this whole system here, or this whole health system here, what I have, which is a little demonstration, it will not work. So where we call this one here. And there are different kind of setups. For example, now you must set up that my character get shot or get a damage, or you must anyhow set again a lot of coding here, but there is a very, let's say, a shortcut for demonstration purposes what many people use, and that one is, what is that? Let me show you that. It is this, let's go window first, let's go place actor, and when you write here pain, and here is something like called a pain causing volume, and this pain causing volume is a special node which is simulating damage, and this is the built-in static, I think it's a built-in functionality which is very convenient. And when I drag this out, you can see it is a box, and let's click this away. And this box, when I go here, selected this box here in details panel, here on top they have made this available, for example, that you can specify here damage per second and then damage type. And normally we need here a tutorial for this to understand this a little bit more, but in this case we just skip this tutorial and try not to understand it much. We just need to know this thing here, this little box here can cause damage. And interesting is that here in our Infinitive Warrior we have here a special node which is exactly reacting to this one, which means why I mentioned this one, because then I don't need set up here in the event graph anything which can cause damage, which without this one I would now set up here functionality from begin play anywhere or anything like that, or overlapping, and then cause damage, and that would take a lot of time. And instead I use now this box here, and which means if I walk with my character into this box here, it is causing damage. And like I said, normally you would get damage from shots, you get poisoned or anything like other, not like this, but perhaps sometimes you can use this one as well as in real gameplay. For example, you make a file where you walk in and then you get damage, so this one is very useful to understand in detail actually. But yeah, so I hope you understand this one is causing damage. So with this one, understand, we go back to my Infinitive Warrior and say, okay, now I'm using this one, and like I said, we are walking in with my character. My character walks in. My character will get damage, and for this one we call a special node. The special node is called I don't know, anything with damage. Receive damage. Here we have it on top. It says here event any damage. It's an event any damage. There are different kind. I have already created this on top, so I put it here down. So this event any damage is my simulation of creating damage. So instead of coding shots or poison or a stone fall on my head, and that is our damage causer. Okay, let's comment this out. Damage causer. Something like that. That is our damage causer. All right, nice. And this damage causer is so important because this function here must be called, right? And this must be called later when I get damage or in other reasons and so on. All right, which means now that I have my damage causer, now I call my function here, right? All right, let's call it change health. Character change health. And one more interesting part, we can set this damage causer, what I have here. This big box is also this pane volume. I go here to the details panel, and here I set damage per seconds, for example 5. Let's set it to 10. And all other is okay. And all other things, it's not so important right now. So with other words, we are back. I have my damage causer, which means I get anyhow damage. And all time when I get damage or anything, I call my character health changed. And here, let's comment this out and say we call health. Let's make it simple. Call health. It's okay. So the next thing is here. Let's comment this one. Also and say this one is something like what is that? Yeah, causer. Damage causer is the best thing here. Damage causer. Causer and call health. So we have this one here, health, and then we have this finished here. So with that said, and the next step is, what is the next step here? The next step is to explain what I'm doing here actually, why I'm saying that. The problem is here, you can see we are not working with an actor component. So why I'm not working with an actor component? Because I want to demonstrate you that this actor component can be created very, very easy. But of course, you must understand that you can do this one as well in your normal character, actor, or whatever you have here. First of all, you have probably did something like that till now. And now you decided, okay, we want to use an actor component. And now I show you how easy it is, this functionality what we have here, to get to this actor component. But before I go to this actor component, let's test this code if this one is working here before we convert it to an actor component. Okay, let's see. I start my game. I go here. And I see indeed my damage is ticking. So it's working, right? It's working. This little code, what I set up, it's working. I go in, it's cause damage, it's called health, and this setup is there. So the normal, let's call it the normal workflow works. That's also not the normal. Like I said, this one you would probably call on the game mode perhaps, because the game mode runs only on the server. But this is, yeah, that code we skip here. That's only just a note. Okay, let's transfer this now to the actor component. Will this take much time? No. And why? Because important to note is here that you can see this here is like a normal call, a function. It could be a function, and in this case it's an event, it doesn't matter. And here you can see I just call it, and then this here will be executed, right? So very simple, very simple. And now look what I do. Okay, I decided now I want not use this health system here. I want bring it to actor component, and the reason why I want to put it in an actor component is, for example, I want make it reusable for future projects, or I want to use it in other actors and something like that. And then what you do is, just if you have something like that, look what I do. I just mark this, I press Ctrl C for copy, I switch to the actor component which I created, and I just paste that what I have here in. And ta-ta, almost ta-ta, we have to do one more step, compile, and you see this red compiler errors. And actually this compiler errors are just the variables which I have which I have created here, but I need them here now, right? These variables, this current health I have created here in the variable section. I need them here, and here is a very nice and neat trick what you can use. You can see you can create these variables here by hand, of course, plus, and then create all these variables and replace it. But you can use this kind of trick. Look what happens. Careful, here are 2 right clicks. Let me demonstrate you both. When you select this one, right click, you can see you have then here all these options. That is not that what I want to show you. There is one more right click, and the next right click is when you go here down to this arrow. Go down to this one and right click here, and now you have other options, and now it says create variable. This is a shortcut, so you can see you create the variables, and if you have here more errors with variables, just go there, right click, create variable, and this one create all the variables which you have created. For example, here, very nice, very fast. And now you can compile. This is gone. Here, one thing more to note, very important. This one was an error, right? And now it compiles fine, but it is now in default mode, which means when you go here, it is 0, 0 again. And here we have changed this health, right? You have reset the defaults if you have set them. For example, in my case, it was not 0. I have set them to 100. Then it's okay. And you can see that was now a very easy conversion, right? I converted this code easy to a health code. You see, it was exactly the same, just a little steps here. And the next step is I can delete this one here. That's nice. I can now delete this. That was just for demonstration purposes, so that you can understand how easy you can go and create a health component. And we are not finished, of course. Because why I'm not finished, now I compile here, and you can see this one makes a problem, and because the problem is I have deleted here the custom event, and we have no custom event here. Instead, we want now call this. We still want call this one, but in this actor component. And now we have to do what? We have to add this actor component to this character, because this was now created. It's nice, and now I want it here in my character. And how we do this? Here we go to this add, and now here one more thing. When I write AC underscore, you can see it pops not up this, and here is a, I don't know what this is, but this underscore, it is not recognized by this search here, which means you have not to write this underscore. But when you write AC space and then your actor component name, for example, in my case health, and you can see it pops up, right? This is also very important. And now I added here this AC health. You can see I added to my character. I compile it, save it, so I have now here this code now in my character. And like I said before, we have now this code which will execute, but still it is important that you set up this damage cursor, and that's why I made this so special, because still this damage cursor must call this one here, at least this node here, so that this other functionality can execute. And that's why this was important. After you added here this actor component, it's not finished. Now you have to set up that this actor component can communicate with your normal workflow, what you have here in your code. And in my case, the damage causer is still here. I get anyhow damage, and this damage causer must now call my actor component function here, or event here in this case. And how we make this, and you grab this actor component, and this actor component we can grab here. I grab it and put it here, and now I have access like normal, and I can call this event here, but I can not only call this event, I can have access to the variables or other things what you have here created in this actor component. That's nice. In my case, I'm only interested that it should call this function here because it should reduce the health. Okay, I call it, what was its name? Oh, I have not read it. It's character health change. Okay, let's write character, and you can see it pops up. I call exactly the function, and you can see it's similar. Before I called here this event, which was here down, and now I call again here an event, which is in my actor component. Very similar, and that's why I can make it so easy. And now I compile, save, and let's see if this works, right? So let's go here, and here on the top you can see it is working. It is nice. So, but that was a very simple example, and it's not even realistic. Because why is this not even realistic? Because here I have damage. Normally you would get damage here, but my example here has not even a damage. I mean, I have set up this damage that I get by all time -10. Doesn't matter which kind of damage type I get. So perhaps you want set this up more special. It depends on this input here. And if you want this, very easy. What you can do, you jump to your actor component, and like all nodes here, this node has inputs here on the right side. Details, you go down, there is this input section, and if you need, for example, an input for damage, you can just make a plus and then write here damage input, for example, damage input, and then change this variable, because this damage what we have is float. We made this with float here. All right, let's do this with float. Compile, save, and of course we have to use this damage input in our functionality. Very simple. This current health, instead of using this -10, which is hard-coded, I use now this damage health, which is nice and very simple to set up. And with that set, it's almost finished. Here it's finished. We compile very fast, and we change to our character. And when we change to a character, you can see this one is updated. If it's not updated, what you can do all time is again call this, and then it should be updated, but it's updating normally after you compile it. And then you have now this input. Of course, you can define it here as well, but you can now use this damage, which comes from the damage causer. Here, in my case, it's the simulation. I put it in, and now what I can do is I can use the damage causer values, which is I select this box here. This is damage causer, and you can see here in details panel, right here, let's set I cause now only 5 instead 10. And we can see if this is working fast. Make a test. I jump, I go in, and you can see this one is also working anyhow. Good. So far so nice, but there is more to it. There is much more to it. This here is, let's say, let's say this one here is the first step. You can see here I demonstrated you how you can easily set this up and convert your functionality to an actor component if you want it. But you can go here a little bit further, and what I mean with that is, for example, you can now combine all this kind of stuff here, this actor component, for example, with an interface. So why would you do this? For example, for selection menus or something like that. You can say, okay, this has a component, this has a component, and I want that only when a certain character is overlapping this one, then this component should activate, right? That was very bad explained, but let me show you what I mean. So let's say it again. I want that this code here, this node here, is only activating when the character, for example, implemented a certain interface. If this is not implemented, I want not do this. And yeah, let me demonstrate you this, how we can do this now. There is a special node again, not a special node. You need to call the owner first, because you are asking if the owner has implemented a special interface. This is one way. And how we make this, for example, right click, get owner, and this get owner means all time, because this component will all time attach to an actor. This actor becomes the owner. For example, here I attach this actor to this character. Now this character is the owner, right? And if I attach it to this static mesh component, then the static mesh component is the owner. And in this case, it is our we get the owner, whoever the owner is, and then we just ask. We don't care actually who the owner is. We just ask after we get the owner if he implements the interface. And we learned this node already when I talked about interfaces. There is this node, does implement interface. So, and you can see this this node here is just a check. We can see it because we have a boolean. It says yes or no. That's it. This boolean here at the end says yes it does or no it does. And we have to use this branch. Right click, you can write here branch, or you can, here is this branch here, but all time use the shortcut B. When you click B and then click the left mouse button, then you have this one. It's the short and fast way which all use. And now we can use this interface. And here a very big note about this interface, because you can use interfaces actually in 2 different ways, perhaps even more. But what I mean in 2 different ways, for example, you can use an interface just for an if check, what I'm doing right now, which means I'm not interested in the functionality of the interface at all. Normally you would, let's say, normally you would create an interface because you are interested in implementing the interface functionality. In this case, no, I'm not interested. I'm just interested to use this interface like a check. When this character, or in this case the owner, whoever it is implementing a special interface which I ask for example, I ask for this one. So if you are implementing this interface, BPI interface, then you are allowed to go and execute this code. If you are not implementing this interface, this one will say no, you can't execute this code. So, and why is this different from the other use case of interface? Because I don't care about the functionality. So normally, let me show you what I mean with functionality. When I open this up, and you can see this is an interface, I have here 2 functions. And normally you are setting these 2 functions in the places where you implement the interface. Let me show you this one as well. Here's my character. You would normally go to the class settings here. Then you would go here. And first of all, you watch if this class is implementing any interface. You can see it. In my case, I'm implementing this interface. And if you have something like that, then you can go here to the left side, go down, or not go down, and find this section interface, and you can implement this functionality here. Perhaps this activate, I have here activate implemented for to destroy. This one I have just for demonstration purposes. Not implemented really, this is just here. So you can see this is normally the use case what you want, but in my case, in this version here, I'm not interested in functionality at all. I'm interested just as a checker. Is this implementing this interface? And it's a nice way to check and find a way to activate this code what comes behind or not. So, and of course, it has also the advantage you can use not only just for check it, you can set up an interface functionality and call it and use it as well. But here in this case, I wanted just to show you this one, which means when I go now here, my character is, for example, implementing this interface, and this one was destroyed because I said here destroy. And on the other hand, there are cases, for example, I don't know. I can show you this one. Let's go this one again. I go here. Let's see what happens if I change this one here. And yeah, this one is not doing something. Right? Interesting. So I go here. And you can see here, it's doing nothing. But I go here out, I change my character, and now it's working again. So what I did is just I changed the Infinitive Warrior here, the character here, and it was not the Infinitive Warrior, it was the first person character. It was changed here. And you see, yeah, you can implement functionalities with that, and my first person character had not this actor component as well, so that will not work anyway. And yeah, let me show you a little bit more here. I hope it's not too difficult. If this one was a little bit too confusing, don't worry, and if you don't know so much about interface, don't worry. Use the first version, was what I showed you. Just convert functionality into an actor component, and then you can use this interface after you learned interfaces, the two different versions. You can use cars, whatever, and there is one more version, of course, and they are using this often as well. And what is the other version? It is the event dispatcher, because, or let's say they used more this binding with this which is in the end effect also an event dispatcher. So let me show you another version. And the other version of this one is, for example, you can do something like that. You go again, ask get owner, and then you can do something like that. You say get the owner, which will be in my case this character, because I have attached the actor component here, and then I can make and bind or an assign. So that here you have to a little bit about knowledge about event dispatcher, because here we talked about event dispatcher. You have different options. Assign and bind is almost similar. Assign is a little bit let's say a shortcut, and bind is where you can add some options. Let me just demonstrate you this one fast. Assign anything here. And interesting is here you can create an event dispatcher, but you have here this damage again. This damage is again this box here. They made an event dispatcher more or less built in for this box here, which means you can assign and bind to this box anyhow, or I don't know how they made this, but it behaves like an event dispatcher here. The only difference is we are not setting up manually, because I said earlier I go to damage, and here is this assign, and you can see assign means you have this node here, and this node is just waiting for a call. If it gets a call, it will execute this one here, and this bind is similar. The bind is only without this one here. Let me click this back. So the bind is the same, only with this node here. And why they are making this different, because assign, if you want just directly custom event like it was before, then you would go with assign, which is just faster, it's more convenient. If you use bind, which is later calling more or less also a custom event, but you can have here more options. You can create here a selector, you can create here, don't know, you can create here create event. Most time they're using this one, and then you can call here what you want. For example, you want to make this event callable, something like that. But in our case, let's make it not too complicated. Let's make it very simple. Let's call it assign, and then we call this damage here. Again, this damage box here, and this, what you see here, is exactly how our event dispatcher works. What we have talked about in event dispatcher. The only difference is this event dispatcher you set up manually, which means you create this event dispatcher on there where you want it, and then yeah, and then you bind, assign, values it, and so on. I hope you watched some of these videos of this event dispatcher, how they work. Then you know what this is. So let's continue with our example here. What is that what I made here? So now the difference is, now I called this box here, like here, this box. When I walk into this box, this event, this node, I said this node is very important because this will be stay there for, let's say, when it's activated. Then this one is like a node which is just waiting and is active. What I mean is waiting and is active. That's also very interesting to know. Let me show you here an example. Let's say event begin play. Event begin play here. So when I set this up in event begin play, and you know, when event begin play means when I start this one is triggered. It goes here and then it's finished normally, right? It is just one time called. But this one time call here will activate this one, and this one stays active. What I mean with active is, so for example, this here is waiting that anything is walking in. And then if this the requirements are okay, this one will trigger and the functionality here will execute. So let's do this. And what functionality we want, it's exactly the same functionality like here, which means I copy this one here actually because it's just another way to do it. Instead of using this setup, now I'm using more or less something similar to an event dispatcher setup. So, and how we do this here, I connect this one here with that. Let me see. And here I can use also the interface, no worry, that's also can stay. And let's see what I have here to set up. Yes, the damage here, I can connect here, and I think all other things can stay. So, and here I can ask for this interface as well, no worry. This is just for demonstration purposes. So I want to only show you that you can use event dispatcher, that you can use interface. And let's test this code as well. Let's make here just a fast comment and write here using dispatcher. Actually, it's not really a dispatcher here, at least not manually created, but under the hood it's the same way like an event dispatcher works, right? So, and for that purpose I have to disable this one, because now I want that this one is working and this one needs not a call. This one here needs a call, and that's again something very different. That's why I want to show you this one as well here. But where was my call here? Here we needed a component call, right? Here we had a component call in this case, and here with this dispatcher I don't need a call. What I mean with that is this call here we don't need. Why I don't need this call? Because this, like I said, this dispatcher is here actually, when you know what event dispatcher is here, is assigned normally to this box here, and we made here a binding, and this binding and this box is connected. When I go with my character in this binding, when it's one time activated, it stays active, and when my character goes in, this one will trigger this red line. This red line will execute then this functionality here. All right, let's test this. Perhaps I talk too much and it's not true. So let's see. I go here, I walk, and indeed it's working, right? It is working. So, and interesting is here I need not even a setup with a call. That's new, and you can see that can be interesting and powerful as well when you are not interested in call. And there are so many different kind of solutions, and some are better, some are worse. And you can use here also casting. So you can use here casting for components, and here are different ways to get it, to communicate it. Yeah, there are so many things to talk about, but I think it shows some basics. And general, again, I showed you how you can easily convert a function or an event back to here to an actor. You can add this actor then, and later you can just throw it out if you don't like it. Sometimes you have to set this up, or you can go for a dispatcher, but still this dispatcher needs to bind also. So there is all time anything which is communicating to each other. Keep this in mind. And yeah, this is like I said, this component system is a little bit a big topic, but it is worth to learn it, I think. Of course, it is also worth to learn it in combination of interfaces, dispatcher, and then you choose what you need, or casting, base casting, all can work here all together. And the last thing what I want to note is with components is it can be that yeah, you have still to profile it. Profile means it can be that components can cause still performance problems if there are too many components. So for example, you have here, yes, like in this demonstration video set, when you have here many components, this can cause problems. And to avoid that, it means not necessarily that you have to use the component. And I showed you at the beginning that you can convert, for example, a function from here to a component, but the same thing you can make later other way around too. For example, you created components, many different kind of components, and then you checked your profile and said, hey, the performance is not good, but you already created a component. What you can do now is, okay, let's get rid of the component, but we just copy this functionality here. For example, just copy here, I copy it, go to my event graph where you want and paste it, right? You can make the other way around too, and then you compile, and then you will have here all these arrows, and then you replace this variables and probably this custom events and something like that, and that's it. So the other way works around too, and that's really powerful because you just create one component, later you decide if you want to use the component, or you just copy the component's logic in your blueprint, and it's reusable, and you can attach it later, or you can just get rid of it. Depends on your needs, and really powerful, but need time to master, which means, like I said, you can see here you have still to make a setup. And yeah, it's very powerful, and think about it if you need it. And with that said, I think I stop here with this video. And if you have any questions and any complaints or tips and tricks, like all time, write it in the comments. See you in the next video. Bye, good luck, and like all time, have fun.